So I'm starting to see this headline circulate quite a bit on social media, talking about how that Trump is planning to make massive cuts to Social Security and Medicaid and government programs that are put there as safety nets for working people and for poor people. I'm seeing that headline starting to circulate a whole lot, and people are saying, "Well, wait a minute, this ain't what we voted for. Why is this happening?" Well, yeah, it actually is what they voted for. And if they were paying attention to their own guy, he's been saying all along that that's what he was going to do. And we all know the real reason why he's doing it. He's doing it to pay for the tax cuts that he's going to give people like Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and The Undertaker, and Sylvester Stallone, and every other person we used to once upon a time look up to. He's doing that to make them richer. That's why they buddied up with him. But what I would like to talk about is the people in my part of the world that this is going to affect and how they really never thought this one through. There are people out there in my part of the world that work really hard every day. They get up, they work hard, they bust their ass, and they're struggling. And times are tough. Never said they weren't. The grocery bill's high. Never said it wasn't. It's hard to get by in this world. I never one time said that it wasn't. But they get up every day, they go to work, and they're physically able. They're mentally capable. They pull it off every day. They don't have any health problems. They don't have to go to the doctor, so they don't really care about health insurance. That's not really a care of theirs. I've even heard people say, "Well, I don't really need it. I'm healthy. I never go to the doctor. I don't need that." Okay, maybe you don't. I'm not going to point over to say that other groups of people might. I would just like to say to them, people in your own family do. So that's the part that's never made sense to me. Is the people in my part of the world will look out at other groups of people with different color skin and from different parts of the world, and they'll say, "Oh, they're getting handouts from the government." Or they'll look down on some poor person in the grocery store like, oh, they're getting handouts from the government, not realizing that people in their own family are depending on these programs. They've all got a grandmother. They've all got an aunt or an uncle. They've all got a cousin. They've all got a special needs kid somewhere in their family. And they've all got a gay kid or a trans kid somewhere in their family. They've got it, even if they don't talk about it. And when these programs starts getting cut like crazy to give the rich a bigger tax break, it's going to affect people right around them. It's going to affect the very people they claim that they love, and the people that they claim, "Oh man, I just voted for him for his policy. I ain't got nothing against you." Well, actually you did. You had a whole lot against them. But people will look out there and think that people they don't know are going to be affected by it, and they don't care, not realizing that Mama herself could be, not realizing that the people right in your family could be. And I'm just going to go ahead and say the quiet part out loud on this one. There's a whole lot of people in my part of the world that wave Trump flags every day and pretend to go to work on Facebook, but they're sitting there on the phone trolling me on my videos, and they're on government assistance. I sat one time and I argued with a guy that I used to like. You know, I mean, he used to come around to the shows, and he was a good dude to talk to and have a beer with. Nice guy. But we got in a really, really heated argument once on Facebook. We just went at it. I mean, back and forth. And it was about government programs. It was about people getting help that needed it. And he was talking about how all that should be cut. I went around in circles with this guy to the point that he blocked me. And that was it. And he hasn't spoke to me since. His mother blocked me too. But I seen his brother, and I was talking to the brother. And I was like, and this was like probably like 2012. This is how long ago this was. And I said to my friend, who was the guy's brother, I said, "Hey man, I'm sorry me and your brother and your mom and everybody got into it the other day on Facebook." I was like, I didn't really mean for it to get out of hand. I said, I was just, trying to make my point, and, things got heated, and I hate that happened. Because I really did. I felt bad about it. He said, "Yeah, man, I hate it happened too." He said, "God, dude," he said, "I was dying so bad to get in the middle of that conversation. I wanted so bad to jump in on that one." And I was like, "Well, I don't blame you, man." I was like, I was getting pretty heated with your mom and your brother." He said, No, not to argue at you, not to team up with them against you." He said, "I wanted to call them out for their bullshit." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "My brother don't work, man." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "No." He said, "He sits there on the computer playing Farmville and arguing with people like you." I was like, "Are you being serious?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I thought he did." He said, "No." He said, "He doesn't." He said, "And he's on the very programs, him and his kids are on the very programs that he's sitting there saying should be taken away." And over the years, I've had so many experiences like that. over the years, I can't count the people. And I live right on the tri-state. So a lot of people will try to find ways to milk all 3 states for whatever they can get because they got family that's got a mailbox here and a mailbox there. It's a classic scam that they pull and then get on Facebook and pretend to be John Henry, the steel driving man, and they ride around with their Trump flags in the air and act like and look down on people for getting government assistance. So I don't know how this will all work out for them. See, I'm the type of person that I don't want to see innocent people. I don't want to see innocent people get hurt, and I don't want to see innocent people affected by these things because they didn't ask for it. But to people like that that pretends to be tough and pretends to be working and they're not, and to people who demonizes people on government assistance but they are themselves, I ain't gonna feel an ounce of sympathy for them people, not a lick. I hope as they're taking the Trump flag down off their truck, it really starts to sink in. I don't think it ever will. I think they'll still find a way to blame it on us because they've just became the party of victims. They've become the party of everything's out to get me, not realizing they just voted for the man that was absolutely out to get them. And they'll sit back and they'll admire people like Trump. They'll admire Elon Musk. They're so fascinated by him. They admire people like that, not realizing they literally just cut their noses off to spite their own face, not realizing that they just hurt their family that they claim they love. And now they see these headlines and they don't really know what to say about them because, well, and probably the only thing they're saying at this particular, he ain't gonna do that. Nah, it's just fake news. He won't do that. You'll be okay. And then when it happens, it's gonna be like, I guess they'll try to find a way to blame it on Democrats like they always do. But we see through it. We warned them about it. We did everything humanly possible to tell them what was coming straight at them. And if they couldn't hear us and accept that and went the other way, you can't feel too sorry for them. You really can't. You just have to look at it like, hey, we did our part. We did the best we could. That's all we knew to say. But it's going to come back and affect their family. It's going to come back and affect their friends. It's going to come back and affect them. And they'll sit there and they'll worry so much about some poor person getting a handout. But they don't care that Donald Trump and Elon Musk themselves gets them. They don't care when the money goes to the top. They don't mind that. And when you point out how many people are like, hey, look at this corporation over here that never paid a lick of taxes. Look at this corporation over here that stuck their offices in the Cayman Islands so they wouldn't have to pay. Oh, well, man, they had to do that because they was getting taxed so much. And if they get taxed so much, they won't be able to give me a job. Keep believing that. And when you have to pick up the slack and pay for your mother's doctor bills, and you have to pick up the slack and pay for everything else, I mean, we tried to tell you. I know we say all the time voting against your own interests. Yeah, they absolutely were. But they were obviously voting against their own interests. That's easy. That's obvious. But they were voting on their emotions. They were voting on their feelings and not facts. They were the crowd that said, fuck your feelings. But they're the ones that voted strictly based on their feelings and strictly based on their emotions. And they got so worked up in this WWE Jerry Springer show, so worked up rooting for this villain and this story, that they were like chickens voting for Colonel Sanders. And they're gonna learn the hard way, and it sucks to say it. It really does. But I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in every day and listening to what I have to say. I thank you for hitting that subscribe button. If you haven't already, be sure and do so. Get in on the conversation. Leave a comment if you feel like it. If not, just leave a blue heart. Just helps boost the videos and the algorithm and get the word out there. We're going to keep putting in the work. We're going to keep trying to shine a light on it. And we're going to have to really work hard to shine those lights because we're headed into some uncertain times. But we can overcome. We've been in places like this before. There's been times I've talked to my mother and dad about the 1972 election when Nixon won. It was like they felt like it was the end of the world. They'd never get through it. Well, they got through it. And we'll work our way through this one. It's going to be tough. It's going to be uncertain, but all we can do is keep standing on the right side of history.